Hello YouTube community, my name is the Jackie13, and this is the first day of the rest of my life. As you can tell, I started this video off by starting a new look. This is something that I've done in the past where I've had the mustache and I've had the beard, and I wanted to make this sort of my signature look, the thing that I go to when I'm like, okay, I have no other ideas, let's go to the thing that works. Because this works for me, it looks good on me. The difficulty is that I fucked up this side right over here, for one, and for two, because I haven't shaved in a while, I've got a lot of these red marks down here. Those happened before shaving. This is, I think, just acne or something to that effect. So I want to make sure that that doesn't look there most of the time. So what we're going to be doing is I'm going to fix all this stuff off. You're going to see me clean shaven for this episode, but in the future, this is the look that I'm going for. So I'm going to be going back to growing that and trimming this stuff down. If at any point for whatever reason I go back to being clean shaven, it's because I fucked up, basically. So let's get into it. Alright, so you're probably wondering, this is the same day that you recorded the other video that came out last week. Why are you wearing a different shirt? The reason for that is that I just took a shower, as you can see by the wet hair, and I wanted to make sure that I had a different look going into the day, something that was new and fresh and didn't have the same stuff. Why did I choose this shirt in particular? Well, it doesn't fit me super well, so it reminds me, hey, you've got stuff that you need to work on, for one. Number two, Princeton University was one of my original aspirations. I wanted to make it into there, and I wanted to become... I have no idea, but I wanted to make sure that I went to an Ivy League school, and wearing this reminds me of my drive to continue to do better and bigger things. The third thing is that it gave me a reason to bullshit and show off my amazing skills in that regard. And fourthly, it's because it was the first shirt that I had that was nondescript, that wasn't, you know, politically motivated or whatever. I have a lot of shirts like that, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't ruin the video by wearing, like, one of my many, many shirts that involve other things that I don't want on this channel. So, that was part of it. However, let's get into the things that we need to do today. Today, I have, I think, 3 or 4 main things that we're going to talk about and that we're going to show me doing. First and foremost, if you remember from the last video, we've got dishes to do. A lot of dishes. Lots and lots of dishes. So, gonna get to those. Next thing we're gonna do. Look at all of these clothes and different things. Part of them have been added to the list since today because, well, I can't close that door, since I've been doing a lot of stuff. So, basically, we're going to be doing those 2 things first. Once we're finished that, we can get into the things that are a little bit less important, but important to me in terms of like what I want to be doing. Both of those things regard YouTube stuff. So first and foremost, the Mitochondriac podcast, getting something recorded for that and getting that set. That's the first thing that we're going to be doing. Second thing we're going to be doing is editing and basically getting everything uploaded and scheduled for the Mitochondriac podcast. And the first episode, the pilot episode, episode 0, whatever I'm going to end up calling it, of first day of the rest of my life. So those are the 2 main things that I have on that part of the docket. The next thing is, I mentioned that I was going to be doing a Pokemon thing. That's its own separate category of stuff that I'm going to be doing, but it turns out, I forgot to mention this in the last video, but it turns out that I'm going to likely be doing something with a group of different people. Just like I mentioned the Minecraft Hardcore series, we're going to be doing something very similar to that with Pokemon. That's going to be pretty interesting. I'm going to be plugging that from here on. As soon as we figure out the details behind that and when it gets edited, uploaded, and all that stuff, I'll make sure that you all know exactly about that. But right now, that's all that I can say. It's going to be Pokemon related, and it's going to involve a lot of people. Should be a lot of fun. So let's get into the first 2 things, the most important things, the life things of washing the dishes and doing laundry. Okay, so right now, I have all of my different clothes in this basket right here. There's also a few things on the floor behind me. Can't quite see them. That's okay. Basically, my goal right now is that I have to sort these into different sorting piles. for how I'm going to be washing them. Everybody knows how to do that. Everything that is happening here isn't like basic new stuff or whatever. It's obvious. But I wanted to document that as I'm doing it. I'm also out of breath from just kneeling down. That's a huge problem. So basically what we need to do is, typically I like to just throw all my stuff into the wash, but I need to figure out what works better. And because I have a lot of clothes and a lot of stuff, because I've been waiting, in fact, let me actually take you with me for a second here. Because I've been waiting for so long to do all this, that session there is a lot of new stuff. That's mostly new stuff from the past 2 days. This is stuff from the past few weeks. And in that pile there is also, excuse me, as I catch my breath. In that pile there is also stuff for my bed sheets and all that. So those need to go with towels most likely. So my main goal right now is to sort through all this. So you're gonna come with me. I'm gonna set you probably up there or somewhere in this range so that you guys have a good view of me, and we can continue doing stuff. So something I wanted to mention. I have been outside recently, and this is from being on a softball field. Both legs are like that. So they're going in with the rest of the jeans. Basically, I mentioned last time that I wanted to start this series yesterday. I wanted to start this on the Saturday, the 20th of July. But instead, I fell asleep around midday. I want to say 2 p.m., something like that, around the time that is currently. Which is also interesting because it's been an hour and a half since I started this whole adventure of trying to do a first video and getting everything uploaded onto the computer and stuff like that, which is cool. So basically that is going in with all my other jeans and a few other pieces of clothing. I've got a lot right here as well that I would like to put in there. But it's already halfway filled, and at this point I kind of want to just leave it to be as is. So it looks like I'm going to likely have to have 3 or 4 loads, because all of the stuff that I had, like towels and stuff like that, they're an awful lot as well. So that's a bit of an issue. It's okay though, because we're going to be cleaning clothes, so can't wait. Alright, so we're going to leave that sit for a bit. I don't know why I turned that light off, because it makes my lighting a little bit worse. But we're going to leave that sit for a bit and have everything, let's turn it back on. Have everything just sort of stewing in there for a little bit. It's going to smell horrible in a second, but that's all good. I need to now work on that stuff over there. So let's get to it. Alright, so by this stage you're probably wondering, Michael, why are you showing us you doing fundamentally like normal things that an average person does to background music and just you commenting here and there about random stuff? The reason that this whole series began is because I was watching a channel called Graham Norton. It's basically by this dude called Graham Norton, who talks about finances and talks about how to become a better business person, how to better sell yourself, and how to make money, more or less. I found this because YouTube recommended it. I was not searching for it whatsoever. But the process of him telling these different like tips and tricks and showing how he's going through life and giving a little bit of an insight into his own life kind of reminded me of the fact that like I really liked doing vlogs when I was older, when I was younger rather, when I was older. And I wanted to continue doing something like that, and his process of doing it was very interesting to me. He just sort of went into depth about the things that he cared about, and he talked about it a little bit, and it sort of got me thinking like maybe I should do something the same. He started off basically like from ground zero. He had not a lot of money, and he was trying to get to a point where he had money. Now he's at that point, and a lot of it's due to the success of his YouTube channel by talking about this kind of stuff. So I was hoping to do something along the same lines, not so much for the notoriety and fame, though you obviously know that's there, you know who I am, but also because of the fact that I just really enjoy having some sort of creative outlet to then turn my normal, everyday, boring facets of life into something that I actually enjoy doing. So that's why today you're going to be watching me doing my clothes, washing dishes, and editing, basically. A lot of really boring stuff, but I'm hoping to make it really fun and interesting for you guys, and to sort of discuss some topics and interests that I have, and hopefully with the other things that I go through throughout the week, you guys can get a basic idea of who I am as a person, the kind of stuff that I enjoy talking about, and maybe learn something along the way too. That's something I'm also hoping, that you guys can get something out of this that is not just entertainment value. So let's get to it. Okay, so as you guys can tell, there are clean dishes in there. However, it's I can't really show you that way. You gotta actually have me. So there are clean dishes in there. It just sort of smells really bad. It smells old and funky. So I'm gonna go run it through again, and I guess I'm just gonna do these bad boys by hand, which is not what I was hoping to have happen, but it's what we're gonna do. So these guys can enjoy their little soak, and I'll set you guys back here. Oh wait, I had you on top of this paper towel rack. Maybe one day I'll have somebody actually doing videos so that I don't have to do this all sillily and dumbly. But we'll talk about that another time. So now something you guys are likely wondering is, are we going to be expecting the same kind of mundaneness throughout the entire series of the first day of the rest of my life? And the answer is no. It's going to be a different type of mundaneness each time. So this week I'm probably going to be showing you guys me doing my laundry, me doing the dishes, me going shopping for food, and likely something else that's along the same vein as that. I'm not sure what just yet, but it's going to be something very mundane, silly, and stupid. Something that everybody in the world has to learn eventually at one point when they become an adult, and something that everybody in the world does. It might be cooking, it might be that, because that could be fun and I could spice that up a little bit for the video, but that's okay. So instead, what we're going to be doing is focusing on every little other thing that I'm adding to my schedule and things I'm going to be adding to my life to make it better. Next week, not this week, but next week, I'm going to be beginning a workout routine. This week I'm mainly just trying to get back on the normal grind, the normal easy stuff, you know, the washing the dishes, clothes, all that stuff that I mentioned before. So hopefully there is a spice of life, variety portion to this. It's not just me doing silly, dumb stuff like washing dishes for you guys. It's going to be more interactive, more fun, and more things that are maybe not necessarily fun on their own, but I'm hoping that I can make them enjoyable for video kind of stuff. I hope that the noises of both the dishwasher and the washer for clothes aren't going to be too loud for you. That could be fun. I'm also like leaning at an angle because, again, I have no real setup properly yet. We'll figure that one out as time goes on. So over here, I've sort of set a bunch of the different dishes that we need to work on and clean. And the reason why I did that is so that I could clear out the drain and so that I could pour in this bad boy. This milk has been in there for quite a while. Its expiration date was July 10th. That's 11 days ago, so it's quite rank. I'm not going to take a smell of it because I'm likely going to smell it as it's pouring down the drain anyway. So let's go ahead and just view that for a little bit, why don't you? Oh god. It's sort of watery at parts, and now it's like, oh god, it's just so much chunks. Oh god. That sound is the milk. It's not the other things, it's the milk. Holy, Oh, that's terrible. We're going to wash this out because we don't want that stuff in the recycling bin. This stinks so much because we haven't really got a whole lot of recycling in there right now. Okay. Please just... Ugh. That's terrible. Why did we do this to ourselves? Y'all should be thankful the smell-o-vision doesn't exist, because you'd be smelling it right now. I'd make you. Ugh. Okay. So, rule number one about products like milk and dairy products, if you're going to be drinking them and having them in fridges for use and stuff like that, actually use them. This is something that becomes a major problem in my life a lot of the time, but I think a lot of other people's as well, is we get caught up in the daily lives and we go out and are eating a lot. So we don't have the time or the memory of how long we have at home for these foods, or to have eaten these foods. So they go bad, and that's one of the things that you need to really be careful of when you are buying food. Make sure that you're going to buy stuff that you're going to eat and that you're not going to leave for as long as we did. Something else that needs to happen. This is quite deadly, and showing you this is probably not smart for anybody involved, but you know me. I don't care about that sometimes. When you leave dishes, don't leave them for this long. That's mold, and that shit will kill you. Not this particular mold in particular. I think that in larger quantities it could, but that one won't kill me from the small little bit there. I fucking hate that. I've done that multiple times. I've sort of left dishes there and forgot about them. Don't do that. So we're gonna fix that and clean up now. So recently I made a dish that was really good. It involved butternut squash and butternut squash soup, a little bit of manicotti, and some cheese. Really simple to make dish. It was pretty cool. So let me get the manicotti out and I'll give you a brief example of what you do with it. Excuse me. Please come out of the container. Thank you. Oh Lord. Okay. So basically manicotti is gonna look like this. You got your little manicottis here, and I'm gonna take one out for you. And so you got a little bit of filling, and it's just this long, like, nice little ravioli type of pasta type dealie. Now, the reason why we want to use manicotti for this dish that I'm talking about is because it fills really well. In fact, even on the box, it shows you some stuffed manicotti. I don't know how visible that was. Let's try that again. There you go, stuffed manicotti. And what I did with this, as you could probably assume, is I took some butternut squash. I peeled the different skins off of it, and that's what you want to take off, because you can't eat that. It just doesn't taste good, it's really gritty, all that kind of stuff. That's actually, no, that's incorrect. That's what you should have done. What I ended up doing was I put it in the water to boil with the water, and it took 30 minutes or something like that. It was a ridiculously long time. It got to a point where I was just like, it's close enough, and I just dealt with it. It still tasted good, it just wasn't as fast and as good as it should have been. Alright, so as you can tell, I rambled a lot in my first explanation of it. Let's not do that this time. Let's make this quick. You're going to need 5 ingredients. You're going to need your butternut squash, you're going to need your manicotti or ravioli or whatever type of pasta you prefer to fill up. You're going to need some sort of butternut squash soup. I like to use Progresso. You're going to need half and half for that soup, and you're going to need cheese. Cheese is optional. I suggest it. It makes the dish so much better. Take your butternut squash and peel it off. You're going to have your like dandelionish, yellowish outside. Get rid of that. There's going to be a little bit of green underneath that. Get rid of that. You should be left with like an orange colored squash. That's the squash that you know and love. It's delicious. That's what you're going to want. Take that, cube it up, and boil some water. As you're boiling the water, you're going to be doing this, so it's all going to happen at the same time. Once the water has boiled, add in your cubed butternut squash. Let that sit for about 4 or 5 minutes. Check it with your fork every now and again. It's fork tender if you can take one piece of it and sort of like stick it to the side and the fork just goes in real nice. That's what you want. That's the kind of consistency that you want your squash to be. Once it's like that, you're going to drain it out and set that off to the side for mashing later on. At some point during this process, or after this, you can also boil another pot of water for your manicotti. Once that's boiling, add in your manicotti, let it sit for however long it says on the box. I think about 4 to 5 minutes typically works well. Learn your pasta needs and how those need to go for you. You don't want this dish to be too crunchy, so it doesn't need to be like al dente. I prefer not doing that. I think that you will find out that you don't want to do that as well, but it also doesn't want to be too soft because then you can't stuff it well. It's a nice little balance that you have to figure out. Once that's finished, you can set your manicotti off to the side, and we're going to mash up our squash. Mash up the squash real good. Sprinkle in a little bit of cheese if you want. It helps it stick to it. Tastes real good. Awesome stuff, but you don't need to. If it can stick as it is, then you're all good. So once you've filled up all of your manicottis, all 6 or however many you're going to end up making with your squash cheese filling, you're going to take your dish and whatever dish you're going to be baking this in. I suggest a casserole dish. These work pretty well. And I suggest spraying it with like Pam or some sort of olive oil or something like that so that it doesn't stick. I had this problem the last time where I had to wash it out like by hand and really scrub in there deep because I didn't do that. So don't be like me. Be better than me. So you're going to take your stuffed manicotti, set that in there. Then you're going to take your soup. You're going to put your soup and you're going to put it into a little thing that you're going to use to cook it up. I don't really care what you call that. It's a pan, it's a pot, I don't really know. You're going to take that and swirl it around for a little bit. Let it just cook as normal. I think that's probably about 3 to 4 minutes, whatever it says on the can. As you're doing this, you're going to add in about a half of the half and half thing that's like this big. I don't really know. About like this big. you see it in the video as this, before this and after this. And you're going to take that and you're going to just mix around in there, and that will be your sauce. So once you've done that and it's cooked real nice and it's looking pretty good as a sauce, you're going to pour that all over your casserole dish at the moment. If you want to add some cheese on top, you're going to have to like really sprinkle it on there if you're going to cover the top and have like a nice cheesy outside. But I typically just sprinkle the cheese on there and I can still see the sauce. It still looks really good. It still has that cheesy outside to it. You do what you think is best for you. Then you're going to preheat your oven to 350, pop that bad boy in for about 40 to 45 minutes, take it out, and it's ready to serve. You're going to serve about 2 to 3 people for this. I had 3 meals out of it, and I ate 2 at a time, and that was, again, with 6 manicotti. These things are super filling. It's, again, a 5-ingredient dish. It's really quick. You just sort of, like, have to peel the butternut squash, and once that's done, it's just a waiting game for everything else. It's super easy, and it's super delicious. I'll let you get back to the rest of the video. Thank you for listening to me. If you're a fan of squash, that's the kind of dish that you're going to want. So I did that recently. So I had this half and half in there. This half and half was sell by date of July 17th. So that was 4 days ago. It smells bad, but not as bad. So we're also going to want to dump that. And the reason why I'm telling you this, and I'm showing you some of these like less pleasing and excuse me. So the reason why I'm telling you that, and all these like little less pleasing, probably disgusting things, is that I want to get across the idea that when you buy something like this, when you buy a half and half, when you buy a milk, when you basically do anything with any type of dish, make sure that you've done it in a way that you're going to use it. Because this was about half the container of half and half, and it's all gone down the drain just like that because I didn't use it. This cost me a decent amount of money, so now I'm out half of the money that I spent on this. Not really good. I mean, in the end, I got 3 good meals out of it, so it still was cheaper than if I had been out and about buying something from a store, or buying something from a restaurant rather. But still, I could have gotten much more usage out of that. If I had been smarter, I could have gone to the store, got another butternut squash, and done the same dish again. I don't know if you've noticed this, but when I turn around, these pants have a bit of a hole in them. I think that I've got the angle at such a point that you don't see that, which is good. But these pants that I'm currently wearing, these jeans, are just sort of lounge around jeans. I need to get new ones. That's going to be another thing. I think that's going to be a next week thing, though, me buying jeans and clothes. Ain't that going to be fun? So I'm going to stop with the dishes portion of things. It's sort of getting to the point where I think you understand how this works and how this is going to go. I'm going to finish this whole stuff up, and then we'll move on to the next really interesting, fun thing. Okay, well, they're done. All that's left now is what's in there. Took me about 2 hours to do all that. That's crazy. It's crazy. Sorry, more like, more like 2 hours. Got a load in the dryer right now. Still got all that. That should be 1 load, maybe a little bit more. One's in there washing now. So, it seems like working up a sweat because of how much, good lord. Zoom in, zoom out. Does that fix it? Find something to zoom in on and then zoom back in on me. There we go, good lord. Don't know why that was so difficult. So yeah, working up a sweat, but got all that stuff done. Really glad. It's time to move on to the next bit of stuff that we're working on today, and that's editing stuff and getting ready to have stuff posted this week. I'm really excited for the Microchondriac podcast. That's going to come out on Friday. I just arbitrarily have decided that right now. That's going to be in lieu of a visual novel type thing. So anytime that I do a Microchondriac podcast, which I kind of want to get in the habit of doing 1 per month, roughly, it'll be going up on that Friday. That way I have a set schedule. Again, Fridays at 5. When I get a full schedule and everything starts being really like, ready and going and just working on the normal path that I'm hoping for, I'll make a list of the shit that's done on which days and all that. And you guys will get to know, okay, on Monday we're going to be doing this, Wednesday this, yeah, all that good stuff. I sort of explained it already earlier in this video, but I just wanted to double check that I had that all said and done. So yeah, I'm going to go do that now. I've got about 2 hours before my next big thing, and then an hour after that, I got another big thing. I'm really freaking busy this summer. I don't have a job, and it was for this particular reason. I knew that I was going to fall behind on a lot of my big goals if I were to have a job, so I wasn't going to be able to do some of the things that I wanted to do. It turns out that I didn't do some of the things I wanted to do anyway. A lot of that was up here. I talked about that in the Mitochondriac podcast that went out 2 days ago, now that I've decided on it. It was the Friday before now. Sorry, I should have explicitly said that earlier. But yeah, let's get into it. So here I am in my setup. I've got my keyboard right here below me, my mouse to the right of me. Typically I would bring out this little drawer that you can hear. The difficulty is that I was using a controller that's plugged in here into my computer down this way. And that blocks the sliding mechanism from coming out. So I was just like, I'm just going to leave it like this. I'm not going to use that too much because it's not super useful other than for storing away my keyboard and making it like out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. But I kind of like the way that it looks right now. It's still disorganized and messy and I need to fix that. But aside from that, I think I'm fine with it. So what we're going to do is boot up the computer first and foremost. It was just in sleep mode. And then we're going to edit. I apologize for just blowing air out. That it wasn't really super helpful in letting you know what was happening. But the reason why I'm so nervous, or like, let me show you. So when you come with me here, I'm going to turn you around now so you can see. We are currently in Windows 10. I just recently upgraded this and things have been working pretty good for me so far. I've got a lot of things on here ready to go. However, this game right here, let me put my cursor on it first and then zoom in for you because that makes more sense. If it would focus and not have the Steam thing on it. There we go, that's much better. This is the game that I'm thinking about playing for the Mitochondriac podcast. I don't know if it's going to work. It's not worked for me in the past. I am really bad. It's not worked for me in the past on Windows 8, but I upgraded it for two reasons. One, I was having difficulties with Adobe Premiere, so I wanted to move over to Adobe Pro. I now have that. And the entire Creative Cloud, in fact. And I'm ready to do editing stuff now, but I don't know if I can get the game to load. If the game loads and I can play it and I have fun with it, then perfect. Everything's wonderful. If not, then I'm going to go to my backup. You probably also saw it when I zoomed in before. I'm not going to do it again, but Celeste. It's one of my favorite games that I've ever played. One of my favorite stories as well. And this isn't coming from the point of like, oh, it's the most like well-crafted universe and everything about it is like super in-depth. It's very minimalistic in both its storytelling and in gameplay. There's only like 3 or 4 moves that you can really do at a time. You know, you can grab onto the wall and jump off it a little bit. You can do just normal jumping, you can move, and you've got dashes that you can use. One in the very beginning, and about halfway through you gain a second one through overcoming a really big goal and triumphing over some very difficult foes. And that's it. That's all that there is to it gameplay-wise. The story-wise, you're a person who wants to reach the top of this mountain. Why? You just have to do it. You have to prove to yourself that you can. And that idea, that concept, is guided by all the wonderful characters that you meet along the way who are telling you either you can't do this or who feed into the side of you that's basically like, yeah, this isn't smart. Like, doing this isn't what I needed to do. And eventually you get to the point where all of those people that you thought were against you are sort of cheering you on in some form, including yourself. And it's a really awesome game. I don't mean to spoil too much of it because that's a very common concept. And it's really, that's basically what the game's about, in overcoming like your own demons, I guess, kind of thing. It's a wonderful game. It's really simplistic, but it gets across a message that I think is much, much needed with a lot of people nowadays. Because one of the big things that I found myself struggling with is medication. Is depression, which I take medication for. That's why medication was on my mind. I'm also looking at this bag right here that had my medication in it, so Freudian slip there. So yeah, that's what I'm a little bit worried about and why I was a little reticent to boot up my computer and start on all this. But now that it's done, here we go. Alright, so here we are in Premiere Pro. Got all my files put in from the video, put them into the timeline, and there's my beautiful, beautiful face. So now typically what I'm going to do with a process like this, and I'm only going to show this one time because it's sort of long and boring, but what you like to do when you edit is you want to have all of your files that you're going to possibly be working on in your project section first. So if you have any pictures that you're going to want to add, you want to make sure that you've put them in there. Because if during the process of you like creating, you're like, oh, this sounds like a cool idea, I want to add this. You can do that, and that's one way of going about it, but that just takes more time because then you have to search for what you want to add. And overall, it makes the process longer than it needs to be. So come up with the idea of what you want to do first, set it all together, and then put it in your project so that when you're ready to use it, even if you decide, I'm going to scrap this idea, you'll at least have it there so that you're ready for it. And then also what you want to do, and that includes like music and all that good stuff. The first episode, I'm not going to have any music, not going to have anything too detailed, it's just going to be a normal, typical video of like what I do. So that's the first thing that we're going to do. The second thing is we're going to come down here, and instead of working in, I'm not sure if you can really see, it's showing it by 16-second intervals. Let's see if it'll actually zoom in. There we go. So it's doing it by 16-second intervals. How I like to edit my videos is I like to do it by frame basis. So I try to zoom in as much as possible when I'm trying to actually edit a section. So I'll start off by showing whatever video I'm first interested in showing, and then from there I will take my time to more or less to tweak the fine little details. So hopefully that explains how editing works. It's not super difficult, like I said. Okay, so just edited the video. I realized that a lot of it had shots where I wasn't in frame properly, and you were just looking right at my stomach and chest. That's okay, because we've got our first video up, first day of the rest of my life, episode 0, fresh start. It is now processing, and once it's processed, it should be ready for viewing. It's a little bit later than I wanted it to be. It's 5:07, but that's okay. Sometimes these things take a little bit more time than I'm used to. That's done. It's now time to do a little bit of the Mitochondriac podcast recording. I think what I'm probably going to do is just edit the audio first and see how much time I need footage-wise, and then just get that footage, and we'll work from there. I need to get on Discord and check to see when we're going to be doing this talking about the Pokemon series. Something I wanted to mention, and let me go ahead and bring you with me now as we continue onward for the rest of the day. So first and foremost is obviously the stuff that I've been talking to you about, but I wanted to let you guys in on a little secret. As you can see here, there's a lot of different types of alcohol. We've got some vodka, we've got some rum, we've got some whiskey, we've got some tequila. And this glass right here, which still needs to be washed, it was the only thing that I didn't wash. This is what I used to have all my drinks in. Also, notice the Game Squad uploading these things. This needs to go back to Zach. He's no longer living with us. That's a story that I'll get into in a little bit. But more or less, what I wanted to talk about is that this is one of the reasons why I look like this, with my big old belly. So that's one of the things I'm going to have to cut out. And luckily, there's a good thing about that. So this alcohol right here, as much as I love it, as great as it tastes and all that, it doesn't mix well with my antidepressants that I'm currently on. I get headaches and different problems like that. So I can't drink too much these days. I can't drink too much these days, is what I was trying to say. Whew. I need to take a breath and talk slower. That's one of my main issues. So it looks like the dishwasher is done. I'm gonna come over in here and check on the clothes. I think the loads might both be done as well. Look at that, cycle complete. Well, you can't see it from where I was, but yeah, cycle complete, and this is done with the cooldown session. So we're gonna be moving the clothes out and moving on to our next big thing, which is the Mitochondriac podcast. Day's been moving pretty slowly, pretty smoothly, I should say. I didn't mean to say slowly. So I'm gonna take you in here and we're going to talk real quick. So one of the things that I was mentioning a couple seconds ago was that Zach's no longer living with us. This door here used to be the entrance to his room, and he has recently moved out. It's one of the big things that I've been a little bit worried about and upset about. I'm doing that thing again. Hold up. Let me go ahead and just re-say what I was saying, and we'll, I apologize for that really weird cut. I've been doing that recently so that I stop things like when I have a bit of a hiccup and things don't look good on camera. They don't sound good. Or, as what happened here, I was doing that kind of shit again. I need to get better with my camera presence and using the camera properly and like looking down here and there. Sort of like when you're driving and you look out the side of the mirrors and stuff like that. It's kind of like that. So what I wanted to talk about is this room right here used to be Zach's, and we need to get some stuff back to him that's his that he doesn't have right now, that he didn't bring home with him. Sadly, he will not be staying with us anymore, so that makes me a little bit upset and a little bit worried about the future of Game Squad and what he's going to do with that. I think we'll still be able to get him in a lot of stuff. He still lives very close by, and I don't think he's going to be moving out of state anytime soon. But it wasn't something that we were originally prepared for. So I'm just a little bit worried about that and a little bit upset that we weren't able to talk with him and figure out some sort of better situation or how to help him with his situation, because it's not like he doesn't like us and it's not like he doesn't want to stay here and go to school with us. It's that he doesn't have the ability right now. The money's not there and he needs to go back home in order to work and get some money or to go to a cheaper, less expensive school that's closer by to his house. So a little bit upset about that. Hope that he's doing all right. I need to talk with him sometime soonish so that I can actually like check in on him, because it's been a little bit since he and I've talked. But yeah, that's one of the things that I was a little bit worried about, wanted to talk about. Long-winded, obviously, as always. That's who I am. So yo, welcome to the start of a new day. Well, it's not quite the start. It's about 3 something or other in the afternoon. I've been doing stuff today, watching YouTube, lazing in bed, not doing things that I should be doing, but that's okay because I'm about to go see my family and I'm gonna have dinner, and once I come home I'm gonna wake up Cameron, and he and I are going to possibly be doing some Soccer Spirit, finishing off the series, hopefully. That's what I had planned, at least. He was up all night playing some RuneScape, you know, as one does. So I wanted to make sure that he had a little bit of time to sleep. This family gathering thing came up, and I was like, let's do it, you know. I've got plenty of time. Let's go ahead and have fun. So I'll catch you over there.
Oh, you should have been!
I did. Sorry? Mama, what?
Is it Mom's camera?
Yeah, this is Mom's camera. Dude, this is years ago. Like 5 years ago. I thought I lost it too, but no, this is the one. This is the camera.
Wait, weren't you recording that yesterday?
This is the one that I was recording with yesterday.
I looked at it, I was like, is that Mom's camera?
Like, really? You'll say hi to YouTube, by the way.
Huh?
Say hi to YouTube, by the way.
Oh, I hate you. I need to do something I fucking hate.
You said anything that I needed for you to help me with, that's all that I needed? Well, here you are. You're helping me with the video, so.
Oh, thanks, Mom.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, it's been 3 years, I want to say, since the last time you were on the channel. Because you were in that one episode of Persona, remember?
Yeah.
It's been 3 years. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That's insane.
I'm trying to think that you're in college, too, with your own apartment, not even going to pop.
I know, right? Anyway. So I just finished doing basically everything for the day. I was over at Mom and Dad's place. And it looks like it's threatened to rain right now. A lot of thunder, a lot of lightning, that kind of stuff. So I'm going to get home as fast as possible. I'm tired as shit, and I had a really big wave of depression hit me recently, so here's hoping tomorrow's going to be a better day. Sorry there's not a lot of footage for today's day. I got to see my sister. That's always good, so catch you guys tomorrow, I guess. Note to self, fold everything here before the end of the day. Whoops. Didn't quite do that now, did we? Good God. This is all from yesterday, not doing it. Anyway. Come with me. We're going on a magical journey. What's up, y'all? I'm feeling slightly better today. I'm not as good as I'd like to. It is 2, and I didn't wake up when I wanted to. I did wake up around 8 o'clock when I listened to my alarm, but then turned it off. And I set one for 9:30 because I was like, I just want a little bit more sleep. Woke up around 9:30, just decided not to wake up. So here we are. I am now awake and doing stuff for the day. I think I'm probably going to go record some Soccer Spirit today. We didn't get a chance to do it yesterday because I got home late and Cameron was ready to sleep. So I'm going to go over to his room right now and we're going to go talk and see if we're going to actually record or do anything. We also need to get food, so those are some things that I need to do today. I also want to get new pants because these are good ones. These are some of the ones that I washed, but I have 2 pairs of pants with holes in them and only 2 pairs of pants that I can wear. That's not good. I would like to have 4 pairs of jeans, please. Thank you. So my dumbass forgot that today's Tuesday, and Cameron's at work right now. He said he could record later today. Not right now. Okay, so we're gonna just go get food then. Gonna stock up the house with food. It sounds good to me. That's also another thing I can do that, makes me productive and do things. So I have to do that. Go get food for grocery store stuff, kind of stuff like that. Have fun, yes. And then we're going to record, and then I also have to do some editing on 2 projects. One is the Mitochondriac. Y'all know about that one. I mentioned it. I didn't get a chance to do it just yet, but it will be coming out Friday. As I mentioned, it probably has already been out. I guess today's Sunday. You're watching this at least. So I need to do that today. Today's Tuesday. And if I don't do it today, I need to do it tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday. Because after that, on Thursday, I'm going to be taking my grandmother to Cape Charles. And we're going to be meeting with my grandfather there. They're going to be meeting basically to have fun, do some cool stuff in North Carolina. So he needs to pick her up there. That's just the in-between point for us. But the other project that I'm working on is one for my political stuff. Basically just editing and finding some more clips for that. Due to my experience with videography kind of stuff, obviously you guys are on a YouTube channel that I've been working on for about 5 years now. 4 years, you know what I mean. I have the ability to edit stuff, and I know how things work, and they needed something like that for certain projects. I stepped up and said, hey, I'll do these things. But y'all know me, I take a really long time. This project was supposed to be done the 18th, and I'm still not done with it the 23rd. Part of it was because mental stuff, I mentioned that. Part of it was because I got sick, and part of it also was just that I didn't really want to work on it. And when I don't want to work on something, I don't work on it. Y'all know how that is. I need to get better at that. I need to just buckle down, do it kind of stuff. So anyway, that's what we're going to be doing today. Those 3 things for the most part. So let's go ahead and start on the first one by getting food. Okay, so this is the list. We got some ground beef, some chicken shrimp, vegetables, a bunch of them, fruit tusks, lemon juice, water enhancers, some milk, some bread, some cheese, some met, some chippy chips, some spaghetti sauce stuff, some bacon, some scrapples, some drain cleaner, jeans, pants, body soap, conditioner, tooth pasta, tissues, downy fabric, and also going to do window shop for tables and decor items because that is just not doing it for us. And we've got plenty of room elsewhere where we can put stuff. So now that we've got our list set and we are ready to go, let's go to the store. Just came back from the store, didn't do my grocery shopping yet, but what I did do was I got some of the stuff on my list. Got the drain cleaner, got my toiletries, got some Kleenex and all that good stuff, and then I got my jeans. So, we're heading over to, actually, what I wanted to mention is that I didn't get my paint either for this wall because I can just take like a chip off of it and show them that, and then they said that that'll give it a perfect match. I was looking for something that matched it closely but didn't actually get to it. I mean, not like I was trying to like have an off shade or whatever. I was just like, I just kind of wanted to get this project done, but I want to make sure that it's done right. So I'm gonna take the paint chip to them probably tomorrow instead. But now that I brought all this stuff home that I didn't need for grocery stuff, just like the around the house kind of stuff, I'm ready to go get groceries now. So life's tiring. Well, that wasn't so bad. Oh. Yeah, that's a lot of groceries. Well, let's get them all on this table and we'll explain them. Boom, there you have it. So that's all of the stuff that I got. It's quite a lot. I've organized it in a way to help me better explain to you guys why I got what I got and what to look for when you get certain stuff. So here we have the noodles and my stuff for spaghetti. I got these for tonight's dinner. I'm going to be making a stir fry. And then these two are ramen noodles that we can use for any type of dish that we want. The reason why I got those is because I noticed in here, however, what I got them for was actually this, not the cheese whiz. This right here. We've got little Japanese-inspired ramen broth. So we can use that for our ramen. And it makes more sense for us to have some sort of dish prepared for the stuff that we have in our kitchen. So those are for tonight, those are for later. And then this ragu sauce I'm going to be using for a spaghetti sauce. I ended up getting some ground beef as well, so I'm going to be making ground beef sauce, meat sauce for some spaghetti, because I got plenty of stuff for that later. Up front, we have different fruits. Now, if you remember, I was feeling up the fruit, making sure that everything was kosher, that they didn't have any lumps or any tumors or anything like that. Because you want to make sure that your fruit doesn't have prostate cancer. But actually, what I was doing was I was feeling the different hardnesses and making sure that there wasn't too much of a soft spot in each thing. So, like for example, with my oranges, You want to look around first and foremost for little bruises and stuff like that. So this one had a few, but nothing too major that was disqualifying, because you're not going to eat the zest most times. I personally choose to, because there are a lot of different ingredients in it, vitamins, minerals, that kind of stuff, that is good for you, but it tastes really bitter and doesn't taste super great. So what a lot of people do is they'll take the zest and they'll just like peel it on top of some food, and they'll have the orangey taste to it without having to go through the astringent flavors of the bitterness. But if you eat this like an apple, you get the same amount of stuff from it. You want to make sure that you wash every single fruit and vegetable that you buy before you do that, though, because they spray them with pesticides and you don't want to get sick. So yeah, what I do is I feel it up a little bit, push in sometimes, and if it's too soft, I put it back. I don't like that one. So that's what you do for apples and for oranges. The reason why I got apples in this bag is because I love apples. I eat an awful lot of apples. I wasn't going to do that with the orange bags because I typically only eat a few oranges a week. The apples get me the vitamin C that I need. They're actually much higher in vitamin C content than those oranges, which is surprising because oranges are known for vitamin C. But no, I like to have a lot of apples because, one, I'm going to be eating a lot, and two, the people here might eat some as well. That's why I got a lot of bananas. Now, the reason why I kept showing off the different types of bananas, and I wasn't super keen on these, first and foremost, I was at Walmart, and Walmart doesn't do the best when it comes to produce. It's not like it's a bad place to get produce, but if you can find another store to get stuff from, it's typically better for you, especially if you have stuff that you're also getting from another area anyway. However, with a banana, what you're going to look for is you're going to look for bruises like this, and you want to look all over the banana for them. That's why when I saw the back and it was a little bit bruised up here, I was like, okay, that's not as good as I'd like it. Let's see if I can find anyone better. However, the reason why you get bananas that aren't fully ripened yet, they've got this little bit of green here at the top, is so that you can let it sit for a bit, and you don't have to eat them immediately. If you get 8 bananas like I did this time round, and you only eat 4 of them in the period of about a week, the likelihood of the other ones going bad before that time is very high, and you've wasted about half of your money spent on the bananas. So that's why you want to get some that aren't fully ripened. If you can get some that are a little bit greener than this, typically closer to the bottom portion, or this portion of it rather, then that's probably better for you in the long run. A neat little trick that I've seen, I don't know how well it works, but apparently if you wrap around the tops like that and keep that sort of preserved until you need to get a banana, supposedly that makes them stay fresher longer. I've never tried it, so I wouldn't know. Typically I eat my bananas within a week anyway, so I don't have to worry about that most times. Moving on to the apples, as I said, I got the apples and I felt them up a little bit before getting this particular bag, just to make sure that they were all good and I wasn't going to have any like really bad apples in the bunch. And I got them in this bag because I eat an awful lot of them. Now, the pears are the exact same style of conversation in terms of appearances. You're going to look for different brown marks like that and try not to get too many of them. This one didn't have too many. And you're also going to feel it up, and if it's really firm to the touch, you're not looking for any softness whatsoever. You want it to be really firm to the touch. You can squeeze it like that and it shouldn't burst. You're not going to want to do that when you're trying them out. You want to sort of just feel around with these 2 fingers, your thumb and your index. And you want to make sure that the fruit is firm to touch but not too soft and not too firm. If it's too firm, then that means it's going to take a lot longer for it to fully ripen and you won't be able to eat it for quite a bit. That's all of my fruits. Now let's come to the largest group of stuff. I'm going to have to come around the back because of how many things there are. These are my vegetables. As you will notice, most of my money was spent on fruits, and vegetables. That's because most of the foods that I like to eat are fruits and vegetables. Those are the tastiest. And furthermore, I'm trying to move towards a diet that's a little bit more fruit and vegetable oriented. I would like to get to the point where I can either eat mainly vegan type foods or vegetarian type foods so that I don't have to spend a lot of money on meats. Meats is where the majority of my money ends up going to when I'm buying food. It's either that or the fruits and vegetables, and I'd much rather cut out one of those expenses, the one that's not as good for me physically as these other ones are. The reason why I was showing you that little vegan section is because there's not a whole lot of options, but the options that they had were really good. You had falafel, which is a soy-based meatball, basically. It's just with soy, and it's really good. I love falafel. I was thinking about getting into that eventually. And then you had a bunch of different portobello mushrooms. A lot of people say, well, how are you going to support your diet if you don't have the protein from the meat? There are a lot of different places that you can get it from, mainly legumes like beans, lentils, that kind of stuff, and I like to eat those too. But you can also get the taste and the texture and stuff like that from your mushrooms. So if people are like, well, I can find the protein elsewhere, that's not a problem. It's the taste of meat that I'm looking for, the little grittiness or the really chewy type of food when I'm eating meat, or when I'm eating some sort of dish that has meat. And that's what you can use the mushrooms for. But anyway, that sidetrack aside, what I got here is some baby spinach. I'm going to be using this for a lot of different things. I like to make wraps with it. I like to make, obviously, I like to make, obviously, like salads and stuff like that. But you can also make, I don't have any tortillas. I'll probably have to get those sometime next week. And do that again. But when you get tortillas, you can make little like spinach quesadillas, kind of stuff like that. Really good stuff. Right here, we've got the teriyaki stir fry. I'm going to be using this one tonight. We have one in the freezer right here. I couldn't figure out, that's actually vegetable pasta. We have one back there, the bird's eye. It's right behind the large chocolate cake. But I didn't really, large chocolate pie, ice cream pie, whatever the case. I didn't know what type it was. I knew it was bird's eye, but I couldn't find an actual stir fry to replace that one. So the next time I'm at the store, I'll find one to replace that one, and I'll make another stir fry using that stuff. So I was a little upset about that. However, this has a lot of really cool ingredients. It's a teriyaki stir fry, so you've got mushrooms, carrots, small little corns. I think these are snap peas, which is hilarious because I also got snap peas, and a few other things. Looks like these are like these little crunchy things that you have in your stir fries, or your like spinach, sorry, not spinach, shrimp and veggie pastas or whatever that you get from like a Asian restaurant, like a Chinese restaurant. That's the term I was looking for. I apologize. What I got here are my succotash, whole corn succotash, suffering succotash. Good stuff here. I got 3 things of that because I personally love succotash. It goes really well with most foods. Instead of just having the corn, you can have a little bit of lima beans into it. A lot of people don't like lima beans plain, but with succotash, you have the corn to like supplement it. So get another thing of corn. If you're not really a big fan of lima beans, stir that all up together, and you'll probably be able to eat right past it and not realize that you're getting the lima beans in there as well. And then we also got a bunch of sweet peas. I don't know how many are left in here. There's absolutely none. Typically we keep a lot of sweet peas in here because Cameron likes to use those. One of the things that you can use them for, wrong side, is, do I actually have any? I don't know if we have any. I'll just use one of these because this is easy. When you put mac and cheese, we typically like to use the box size, but this also works. But when you put mac and cheese in your bowl and you've cooked it up a bit, once you finish stirring all of that together, what you can do is you can add some peas to it, and you'll have some color, you'll have some other flavors, and you'll make it a little bit healthier. It's mac and cheese, so it's not going to be super healthy, but you'll at least get some peas in your diet from eating it. He likes to do that, 1, because he likes the peas, and 2, because he likes to make sure that his food is not 100% bad for him. We got right here a butternut squash. Now, I was mentioning a dish about this earlier. I'm going to explain this dish a little bit better when I start making it another day. I was going to put it over there, but I have no reason to do that right now because it doesn't need to go off screen. These are some baby cut carrots. I like to eat those, and these snap peas are also things that I'm going to eat. So these are going to be snacks throughout the days that I'm going to be eating. It's going to be these, and it's going to be the apple, the orange, the pear, and the banana as well. And I finally got another thing that I'll be eating as well as a snack, and that's these peppers. These peppers are really good for a lot of different things. Typically, people get green peppers because these 2 types of peppers are super expensive. However, the reason why I like those peppers more than just the green ones, and I also like getting yellow peppers, is because they add a nice little color. That doesn't really change the taste, doesn't change the heat of the dish when you're just getting those types of like regular baby bell peppers. Is that Baby Bell or is it just Bell? I don't quite remember the terms I'm looking for. I think Baby Bell is the type of like cheese round thing. Anyway, these are really good in lots of different dishes. You cook that up with some onion and then you just throw it in with some sort of pasta dish. Super good for you. You can also use it for your different salads like over there. However, I also like to just cut them up and eat them raw as well. So like just have little slices of it every now and again. So I got 2 things of those. I'm not sure if I'm going to be cutting them up and eating them raw because of all the different other foods that I had for snacking, but I wanted to get 2 of them because I like to use those in cooking a lot. I also have 2 onions here. What I did with the onions is it's the same test. You always want to check for firmness with things. If it's super firm, then typically that's a better food for you to get because that means it's not as ripe and it's not like mushy on the inside. With these, this is much different. You do want to feel for firmness because if it's not firm, you've got a really bad onion, but typically onions are more based on appearance and what you're going to end up needing to use them for. So I got one that's a little bit smaller. I compared it to my hand size and it's about the size of my fist. This one's a little bit bigger than my fist, but still good. And the reason why you want to check that is because this one will be better used for seasoning foods. This one would be better used for adding to actual dishes. So when you're cooking like meats and stuff like that, you want to use an onion to give it a little bit more flavor. And you can keep the onion in there if you want, but typically I like to just throw it off to the side and use it for something else. Because now you've got an onion that's been soaking in meat juice and you can use that for something else that's also really good. I might probably just keep this one in my meat sauce though, because as good as ragu is, I feel like it's never the taste that I want, and I know that onion helps with the taste. And this one I'll probably be cutting up and using for salads because I got so much spinach there. I'll probably have like a nice little spinach, pepper, onion, and is there something else that I could have with it? I think that might be it. A salad like that. I also, did I not get tomatoes? I have no idea where one of my bags went. I might have to go back into the car and check to see if oh no, these are the tomatoes. I'm dumb. Okay. And then I got tomatoes as well for that salad. What you want to do with tomatoes is that sometimes there's a little bit of like a slimy texture to them because of what they use to preserve them. So you want to check to see if there's too much of that for your liking. Typically you're going to have to just deal with it eventually, but that's what I was feeling around mostly for. These are also nice to check the firmness test, but you got to be real soft and gentle with these because otherwise you just squish them in your hand and they go everywhere. I got nice little Roma tomatoes. I wish I could have gotten like the ones that you see in all of the like cooking dishes or the cooking shows rather, that are nice and firm and round, and on the top here still have their little stem leaves thing. I couldn't find anything like that, but that's fine. Breads, I wanted to make sure that I got ones with different expiration dates. There was only 2, which was August 2nd and August 3rd, which isn't great, but that means that I'll just have to eat this one first and then this one, and I'll have to do it in a relatively quick period of time. I also got myself, or the family, some English muffins, that's what they're called. And you can use these for a lot of different things. The reason why I got so much ground beef, I was going to get 2 things of these, but I was like, wait, that's way too much. This also expires the 26th, so I needed to make sure, user freeze by, so I can freeze that. So I wanted to make sure that I could get that fast anyway, but that's not a big problem because I'm freezing it soonish. But the reason why I got these is because you can have them with burgers, really good on burgers. The onion can also be used for putting on top of the burger. Obviously, it's the same with the tomato. So you get burgers for these. You can also use them for, I checked earlier to make sure that we had, I don't know why I haven't opened it all the way, to make sure that we had eggs that were still good. Those are still good. And a poached egg or a scrambled egg or a fried egg, any type of egg really, goes really well with English muffins, especially if you have it fried and it's not super hard still, and it like oozes into the bread as well, and you can sop it up a little bit. So good. You get those, put those into a nice little toaster over there or something like that. Really good. Let's circle back around to the meats. Now, a lot of what I was showing you with the meats had to do with marbling. Now, in every single type of meat that you want to eat, you're going to want to look for a really good marble, but you don't want too much. So I got a low sodium bacon here, Great Value brand. It's just the easiest to find. And what I wanted to do was get a bacon that had a lot of this fat here, the good marbling in it, but not too much in the center, because the center is where I typically like to have most of my meat stuffs, obviously. The outside can still be super juicy and fatty and all that good stuff. But you don't want too much of it, and you don't want too little, because if you have too little, you're not going to have as good of a tasting bacon or meat that you're eating. So that's why I got this one. The ones that I was showing you had way too much fat on the outside portions of it, which means that when you're going to cook it, it's going to have a lot of fats on the outside portion down this side. So in your strip, the left side of it typically, or if you flip it over the right side, but the left side, when you're looking at it like this, would have a lot of fat. And that's not nearly as good of a piece of bacon, because it's going to be all like chewy and stuff. And no one likes super chewy bacon. I made sure that I got some sodium, low sodium turkey breast as well. The reason why I'm getting everything low sodium is because of the scrapple, for one, and for two, I just like making sure that I don't have too much salt in my diet. If I need more salt, I've got some to add. You know, it's not a big deal. But I got about a pound of that, and the reason why you get a pound of that is because I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. I got a half pound of the Swiss here, and it's upside down, so you can't really see it, but I got a half pound of the Swiss. My typical preference is to have 2 pieces of meat to 1 piece of cheese. I also do thinly sliced so that my 2 pieces are going to last me for an entire sandwich, and it's not like I had nothing to eat. But the reason why I do it in that ratio is because I feel like that's the best way for your cheese to complement your meat, and vice versa. So that's why I do the 1 to 2 ratio. 1 piece of dairy cheese, 2 pieces of meat, the turkey breast in this case. And typically that's pretty good for a sandwich. With this, it's basically whatever brand you prefer, whichever type you like. I got Prima Della for both of those. For the chicken breasts, we use Perdue because that's pretty much all that we have here. But you also want to do pretty much the same type of test looking at that marbling. Chicken is much easier because you're not going to have a lot of fat in it anyway. It's mainly going to be seasoned by the things that you cook it with. People like to use Old Bay, people like to use just salt and pepper, people use the different sauces that they're going to put it in. So I just figured go with whatever my gut told me to get. Lean ground beef. I also did the same thing, and the reason why I showed you the 3 different types, the 93 to 7, the 90 to 10, and the 85 to 15, is to explain to you that there are a lot of different types of beef, a lot of different types that you will be using in different ways. I use lean ground beef because I feel like it's the least fatty, for one, so I don't have nearly as much of a problem eating beef, because it's not going to stop my cholesterol. Like, my cholesterol levels aren't going to be super high. It's not going to stop my heart. So that's part of it. But lean ground beef is also really good when you're using it for spaghetti sauces, and that's what I'm going to be mainly using it for. The reason why I was debating getting 90-10 is because 90-10 is much better for a burger, and I would like to make some burgers too. But I figured I'd take 1/2 of it, make burgers, 1/2 of it for the spaghetti sauce, and that should be fine. It shouldn't be too bad. I'll figure that out later on, though. And in order to supplement that, I ended up getting myself some provolone cheese as well. So it's not going to be like a bad burger. It's just going to be less juicy from what I'm typically used to. And also, I got scrapple. Oh, yeah, just to explain. Also, when you're looking at your beef, it's going to be the same thing. Look for a good marbling. When you're going for a lean beef, you want to make sure that the marbling is mainly in the center. I'm not sure if we can quite tell from the angles, but that's pretty much what's happening there. And then I got scrapple as well. This is a delicacy here on the Eastern Shore. Not a lot of people really know about scrapple or like understand why people like it, if they do know about it. But this is just really good as a breakfast food. That's all we use it for the most part. Scrapple and some eggs, and some bread. Basically, that's what you use it for. Cameron and I love this stuff. Jordan might like it too. But I've not really ever seen him talk about it, or I've never heard him talk about or seen him eat it. This is really good. Rappa's the brand that we pretty much always have, and you don't really need to worry too much about scrapple. You just get whatever one you want. It is, as the name explains, though, scrapple is the scraps. It's just a lot of the leftover stuff that's been mashed together. Kind of like how sausage is, just without a protective container. Over here, we've got our dairy products. So I got some Parmesan cheese, finely shredded. I would like to finely shred the Parmesan cheese myself, but this is so much easier to get it this way. The next time that I do decide to make a dish that needs it, I will be getting a block of Parmesan cheese. I have no idea where I'm going to get that from, so I need to research that more. But I use that for my butternut squash dish that I was talking about as well. So I'll explain that later on when I get to that later in the week, possibly. As I said, I got some baby Swiss and some provolone cheese. Provolone's really good on burgers. Swiss is really good on just any type of sandwich. It's also good on burgers, but provolone is much better on burgers. It's got a nice little buttery taste to it, and Swiss also has that, but not nearly as much. And then I got 2 gallons of milk. I also was looking for better expiration dates. However, I could only get the 3rd and the 7th. A 4-day difference to have an entire gallon of milk is not super great, but it is still early in the month of July. What the fuck? So that's not super worrying. I think that we'll finish this one long before the 3rd, and we'll get to that one long before the 2nd. So it would be plenty fine for those 5 days or whatever. And now this is the stuff that's basically what's left over. I've got a chicken and cheese enchilada, Progresso soup. This is just in case, for whatever reason, I would like to try some soup that I've never had before. I like to have that in the backup just in case. And I got 2 of them because I figured, well, they're on clearance, it's cheaper. Let's just get those while we can. I don't want too many of them, though, because I don't know if I'll like it. And I can at least stomach eating 2. This is the butternut squash soup that I was talking to you about for the dish as well. I'm going to keep it in here, and my butternut squash that's over there is just going to have to sit for a bit. And when I end up deciding to make this dish, I'm going to also have to go out and get some more half and half, because the half and half that I had is gone. I also got Tostitos, and the reason for that was pretty simple. I don't know why I opened it that way. I tried to open this and like reach around, but like I can't. But there's a guacamole salsa in there. It's guacamole and salsa mix. Really good. Works with the Tostitos. No one else likes that sauce, so I was like, well, I'll eat it, so I have the chips for it. I also got some lemon juice. This is really good for a lot of different things, seasoning dishes, making sure that your fruit doesn't brown when you have it in plastic bags, rather. Really good stuff. Love lemon juice. We didn't have any in the house. And then I also got some things like this Kool-Aid here. It's an orange Kool-Aid. Just drop it in some water and it gives a little bit of flavoring. Because I typically drink water from the tap and not from like filtered or bottled anymore, mainly because the filtered is my friends, and like they, you know, are going to drink their water when they're going to drink their water. I'd rather not steal from them. I just drink from the tap and add different things in. I got this black cherry flavoring as well. This is probably my favorite one. It's really weird because it starts off tasting a little bit like syrup, cough syrup rather. But if you add enough of it to it, it does make it a really good black cherry water. And then I also got some tropical punch Kool-Aid. Really easy stuff. I'm not going to add that to like a pitcher and just have Kool-Aid to drink. I'll just use it for my own personal use. But that's pretty much that. And I was really excited to get all of this really wonderful food that we have here in front of me. But then I realized that I didn't bring my canvas bags. And so I ended up just having a shit ton of plastic bags. I need to fix that the next time that I decide to go out. This is a bit of an issue. But yeah, that's a 20-something minute long explanation of all the different foods that I had and why I got them, what you'd use them for, that kind of stuff. Hopefully nothing got cut out too much in the middle there, because this camera does only go for a little bit before it cuts out. So thank you for joining me for that, and I will join you for the next thing that I have to do within this process of my life. Alright, so we've gotten to my favorite part of cooking, and that is cooking the pasta. This is actually absolutely terrible, because every time that I cook, I have to wait on this bad boy to boil, and that takes forever. So I already have all the stuff that I wanted to have with my pasta done, but we still haven't cooked it. So one of the things that I've learned that I need to start doing more often is I need to make sure that whenever I decide to cook a dish that requires some form of pasta, that I cook the pasta first. Now, what I ended up doing was I went out and I got some shrimp, and I got that with about a pound worth of shrimp, and I got the shrimp that is the white out coating. There are multiple different types. There's an Argentine red style, there's the white style, there's a few other different types like that. And I got the white one, and what you do is you cook it with the skin on. You want to make sure that you do it with the skin on for multiple reasons. One, it adds flavor to it, so you don't want to lose any of that taste. And two, it's just easier to start off with, of just putting it in with the skin, throwing on a little bit of Old Bay or whatever seasoning that you're using, and then when you're peeling it, you're going to get some of that seasoning that's been cooked into it already that might not have gone all the way through onto your fingers, so that when you peel it off, you'll get it into and sort of rub it in accidentally and on purpose, if you want, onto the shrimp itself. And so what I did was I put it with the stir-fry vegetables, and I'm letting that sit for a little bit, let it soak with the sauce. And then I'm going to probably cook it for about 2 more minutes before serving it over top of everything, maybe about a minute or so, just to heat it up a little bit, let everything marinate and stuff like that. So let's go back to it, and I'll explain to you guys a little bit better of how this dish works. So what we got is our stir-fry, and I just followed the ingredients, instructions and all that stuff from the very beginning. I took my stir fry, I took about half of the bag and put it into my pan, let it cook in there for about 10 minutes, and then after 10 minutes I added my sauce. Now, they gave me a teriyaki sauce, but instead I decided to go with a stir fry sauce that we had in our cabinet over here. The stir fry sauce has basically a soy base, just like teriyaki does, but I felt like it would probably be a bit more appropriate for what I'm making, and I didn't really want teriyaki tonight. I also don't think that teriyaki and shrimp are my favorite combination. I prefer teriyaki with chicken. So what I did is I cooked that for about 10 minutes, put in the sauce after that, and then cooked it for about another 3 or 4. Then I took it off to the side, let it just sort of sit there for a little bit, peeled my shrimp off so that I made sure that they were nice and edible for when I actually eat them, instead of having to eat them with those shells that I threw in the trash. And then I just let them sit there for a little bit, marinate in the sauce, and have all of that juices like flowing throughout there for a little bit, just so it can sit. Now we're getting to the point where my water is basically boiling. What I need to do is I need to put these bad boys, these noodles, into the sauce, into the into the water, the boiling water. After it's finished boiling, I take it off, put them in rather, and then that will be sitting for about 8 to 10 minutes, and that should make those nice and soft. That's what that said to do on the box as well. With spaghetti noodles, or like what I like to use instead of spaghetti noodles is angel hair. With angel hair, I typically boil it and then keep it in the boiling water because it lets it basically stop boiling for a little bit. And then I let that sit for about 4 to 5 minutes, so that I keep it pretty much al dente. And with that, you typically want to use one of these wang janglers over here, and that will help you feel it up a little bit so that you can check it out, make sure that it is all nice and good. So I'm about to start cooking those as soon as I put my pasta on there. And let it sit for about 6 to 8 minutes, then I'll start cooking that up, and that should make for a really good dish. What I've decided to do as my pairing for tonight's dish, typically you want to go with a wine for a dish that's pasta based, but I'm going with a Red's Apple Ale. These things are really good. I drank one before recording this and while cooking, because they're really good, and they help put me in the right mood to design a good dish that I want to make. It's not super difficult to make this dish. Like I said, it's a lot of really easy, simple ingredients, but it's going to taste really good. And look at how much cool stuff is in there. We got a little bit of corn right there. We got my snap peas that are really good. You got some noodles in there. Found out what those were. Got some carrots. And then underneath, I don't know if I can really show you because I don't know where exactly there is, but you got some like peppers and stuff like that as well. I think right there, that red stuff. And then we got the shrimp. All in all, it's a rather healthy dish, so I'm quite excited. That's now boiling, so I'm going to get back to that and I'll show you the finished product in a moment. Well, I will say that that's a pretty fine looking dish right there. I think I left enough there for another serving even. So we're going to come to my actual meal. Let's plate it and present it really good so that when we sit down it looks fabulous. Look at that. Looks pretty good. Tastes even better. So what I did after that, after the cooking and all that and mixing everything together, I just added a little bit more of the sauce just to give it a bit more of a sheen, and so that it has a bit more of the flavor of that sauce itself. Looks like it should be pretty good. So let me go ahead and take a bite. Left-handed wise. Nah, let's switch over to my left hand for holding the camera. This is always awkward for me because I am right-handed. I just closed the side from it, by the way, so that's what the noise that you heard. So we're gonna get some of the pasta. Gonna get in some of my beautiful-looking shrimp. And I'm gonna get one of these. Looks like it's probably a cucumber. I don't want to hazard a guess to what actual ingredient that is, but bone apple teeth should be pretty good. That most certainly is good. The only thing that I would do is I need to heat it up more. because it's gotten a little bit cool. And the next time I make this, I need to cook the pasta the way that I typically cook it, because it is still al dente, past the point of what I typically like for it. But I don't know, this is a really good dish. Because of all the soy sauce based food that soy sauce based sauce that I added, though, this is not nearly as good for you as it could be. So I will need to look to change that in the future, see what I can do better for health wise. But this is a really good dish. It makes, like I said, about 2 servings from what I put together. So this right here is probably going to be my lunch for tomorrow, which is really good. Awesome. I might even later on have one of the pears, because I feel like this is a kind of dish that would go really well with a pear after the fact. So have a dessert pear. Anyway, I'm going to enjoy my food, so I'll enjoy my food rather, and I'll catch you all in a little bit. Yo, it's me, it's MTG. We're back wearing the same clothes because they're really comfortable, don't worry about that. I'm about to go pick up my grandmother, and I'm about to take her to Cape Charles. Like I said, I was going to probably tomorrow, but today instead, because she prefers to get down there tonight instead of having to worry about traffic and rain and all that stuff tomorrow. So we'll zip on over there then, shall we? So I need to edit my contract, but it's currently 4:11 on Friday, and I said I was going to get that at 5. I also need to work on a project this week. Regarding one of the things that I'm doing for political stuff. I've been working on that project for quite a while now, and I turned in something that obviously wasn't good and to the liking of the people that I was working with. So that's bothering me. The fact that I slept until 3 p.m. today is bothering me. And just recently I've not been doing well. Yesterday was basically a lost day. There was no footage for this series. This week has been full of ups and downs, highs and lows. Well, that's just life. Depression, man. I just gotta get to it and do it, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. I'm currently processing the video portion of the Mitochondriac podcast so that I can download it again and edit it, because I saved it as an FLV and Premiere Pro doesn't accept FLV. So I basically have to do this really roundabout way of uploading it to YouTube, reconverting it into MP4 by using clip grab, and then being able to from there edit it. Because of the size of the file, there was no other way for me to do this, which upsets me an awful lot. But I mean, it's coming up on 5. Editing's probably going to take about 2 hours, because I've got to go through most footage, cut out parts that don't like show action or footage that's really usable, and then edit that part down once I've done that to the desired length. And I've got a lot of footage to go through. So this is going to be a bit of a process. The good news is that it's going to get done today. The bad news is that probably nothing else is. This is going to be the majority of my time spent, and it's not going to come out on the time that I want it to. Which is a shame, but I mean, we're used to that with me at this point. It's just who I am. For now. A fun little lesson in linguistics and optics. No matter what you do with a statement like this, you're gonna get called out. The main issue here is the word advertisers. A lot of people look at YouTube and they think that it's way too advertiser friendly and that they don't care enough about the creators and viewers. But while that might be true, and any use of the term advertisers in the community guidelines explanation, I guess, is going to be bad, there's no real way to include the fact that you care about them without it being seen as bad. So let's take an example like we had right here. Creators, advertisers, and viewers in that order. So what that seems to indicate is that the advertisers are more important than the viewers. What it can also indicate is that the advertisers are sort of slipped in there between the creators and the viewers that creates this divide between creators and viewers. What that can also mean is that the advertisers being slipped in there between people that are cared about creators and viewers makes it seem like they're trying to pull one over us, you know, pull the rug over our eyes, so to speak. So you can't really go real right there if you do advertisers in the middle. So let's try saying it at the beginning. Advertisers, creators, and viewers, or advertisers, viewers, and creators. Now it seems like we're making the advertisers front and foremost. They are the most important thing about the platform, and that's where a lot of divide can begin as well. Even if you were to do it like in an alphabetical order, you know, having advertisers, creators, and viewers like that, so that you go ACV, you're still making that assumption of like, okay, well, the advertisers are the most important based on the way that you worded that. So let's try putting it at the end and see if that does anything for us. So creators, viewers, and advertisers, or viewers, creators, and advertisers. The same issue as begins with, as if you do it at the beginning, occurs here. Putting it last gives it emphasis. It lets people know, like, this is one of the most important things. You know, anytime somebody makes a list of things, they put their most important point last. So, as you can tell, there's no real way that you can make advertisers fit in this without it being seen as some sort of, I don't know, I guess alternate agenda. That to just say, yeah, these three communities, you know, the creators, the advertisers, and the viewers are important to us. So in actuality, the only way that you can get away with, you know, not seeming like you're advertiser friendly is if you just don't put the advertiser portion in there. This is something really like interesting to me because it's how you know, like, oh, there's no real way that you can win when you are saying something that people don't want to hear. It doesn't matter where you put the advertisers in that sentence. If you put it in there at all, you've already lost. So it's just something interesting to me. I wanted to point that out while I'm seeing it. Really boosted my spirits to see something that like I could talk about and give some sort of insight on. So yeah. So we're still waiting on it to process, but I just want to sort of go over this week, because today will be the last day that I record. Tomorrow is going to be purely based on editing this video that I'm currently producing, which is a weird statement for me to make no matter when I say it. It's just interesting to be like, yeah, I'm talking from the past about something I'm going to do in the present that won't be shown to you until it's the past. It's weird. Whatever the case, first day of the week, I did this. I'm just going to show clips. Well, they're done. Yeah, cycle complete, and this is done with the cooldown session. Second day of the week, I did this.
Is that mom's camera?
Like, right? Third day. So that's all of the stuff that I got. This is actually absolutely terrible. That most certainly is good. Fourth day. Okay, so this is what happened on the fifth day. Assume the week begins on Sunday, as we did. Sunday was the first day, Monday was the second day, Tuesday was the third day, Wednesday was the fourth day, and yesterday was Thursday. Yesterday I recorded a little bit with Jordan. We played some Mario Maker. It should be pretty fun to watch on the YouTube channel when it comes out. Probably won't be for a few weeks now. We've got a nice little backlog of that stuff going, which is nice. But for the most part, I just wasn't really feeling up to doing this kind of a video. I might have had one or two things, now that I think about it, that I did show. But yeah, it was nothing super spectacular. The only really good thing that happened yesterday was I upped the world record on a map that I've been playing. Baby Bowser calls this Deforestation. Obviously I have it. It's one of those things that I've been pretty vocal about in our Discord, despite the fact that that video hasn't come out yet of me actually beating it, because we set a goal for like how many likes before we show the video of that. So that could be an interesting process of watching me, you know, slowly but surely get better and defeat that record. I'm going to be using that footage myself once that video comes out, so that I can make sort of like a documentary, sort of like how, I can't remember what his name is right now, Summoning Salt. Sort of how like Summoning Salt does his videos about like speedrun progression, world record progression. I think that's the name of the guy that I'm thinking of. Yeah, it's Summoning Salt. So I'm going to do something very similar to that, keep it in the similar vein of like me explaining things over footage and then showing me like reacting to it when I did defeat it. I'm also going to show different world record runs that got the same time that I did, of course, because that's the only footage that I have of this level, because it's not a level that's been played by a lot of people. But yeah, I'm going to do like, I got the 99. It was 13.099 is how fast that level was beaten. And then there was one 13.083. Then there was 13.066 set by me. And now there's 13.049, which I also set. Which is freaking insane to be able to beat a level that quickly. Even though it's a very short level, it's just insane to me that I have like the Mario ability, at least on that level, to do that well and to be frequently like good at. I at least get 13.1s all the time. When I screw up, the slowest I get is 13.6, which is still very fast. It just feels slow to me now at this point. Only for that level. And any other level, I feel like I'm going like 1,000 miles per hour, and I've only gone like 12 seconds in rather. So that's what happened yesterday, and then today is going to be an editing day. This video still hasn't processed. I don't know if it's going to. There was a lot of music that was playing in the background. I might need to find a way to just silence it, get rid of the audio, because I don't need it anyway. I don't need the audio. I'm going to be taking that out so I don't get copyrights, for one, on the mic contract, and for two, so that you can hear my voice. But I like to listen to music when I play the game that I'm playing for this video. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. A few minutes ago or so, I was mentioning how I'm not feeling super great mentally, and how this week has been a bit of a struggle. It has been. It's been really rough. Not because of anything in particular. It never is with my depression. My depression just so happens to flare up on occasion. But it's especially done so this week. Part of it was due to the fact that I had this project that needed to be due for the political campaign I'm working on. And I ended up turning that in yesterday. And the results of it were not so great. I was not displeased with the project. I thought I did an okay job. But the people that cared about it, like the people that we're gonna post it. We're like, yeah, no, this is not up to snuff. This is not what we were asking for. This is not the quality that we know you can do. We're gonna give you an extension to do better. But this entire week has been me sort of like dodging phone calls or like not wanting to pick up the phone anytime that I have to discuss it, because I don't like getting my feelings hurt. I don't like people saying like, oh, this work isn't great. No one does. It's not something that we're like searching for. But especially not right now. I was not looking for that kind of feedback. Especially considering that like I put in a lot of time into that video. More so than I thought I would need to. It wasn't super great. I'll give them that. Like, there was definitely a lot of things left to be desired. But I don't know. I'm just really upset about that, for one. And because of that, it's spiraled out of control, as everything always does with me, where I'm thinking about it way too much. I'm stressing over it, despite the fact that it's a project that, when it's finished, will get viewed by 12,000 people maximum, and have multiple views on that, so it'll look like it has a lot more, but it's really going to be a lower amount. Which is still great. 12,000 views is freaking amazing, but for a national campaign, I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like I'm just putting a lot of effort and time and energy into something that I'm not going to see a return from, and that I've wasted more of my energy, I guess, towards it than I'm going to end up getting back from it. I'm not going to feel super satisfied with the end result, no matter how good it turns out. Even if it does as well as the other video that I did that ended up getting like 50,000 views. I'm still not going to be like, oh, this is amazing. I'm going to be like, yeah, I mean, I fucked around for 4 weeks on this project and still only did this much. Like, it wasn't super great. I don't know. The more and more I think about it, the more and more I realize I'm just not cut out for a lot of criticism when I'm in an emotional state where I'm not able to accept that. You know, I'm not able to like compartmentalize it or whatever. And that's fine. Like, that's something that I just know that I need to deal with now before it becomes like a huge issue later on in life. But yeah, I mean, it's a process. We're working towards it. I'm feeling slightly better. I got some food in me. Got to talk with a friend who always cheers me up when I talk with her. She basically, set me straight. Was like, yeah, no, what you're thinking just isn't true. You're a good person. Fucking stop. Basically, I think I'm gonna make it through this week. It's been rough. As the Like a Conjure podcast can attest, this is something that I go through an awful lot. Yeah. Just sort of talking into the void at this point, hoping somebody listens. Not that I need it, it's just nice to know that it exists, people out there caring. I think y'all get that feeling. I think you know that all too well yourselves. But I still appreciate it. Appreciate you being here. Anyway. Well, it's finished. It only took me like 6 hours. But it's not even showing. Let's get closer. There you have it. 10:25. Still got some time on the render. Still gotta upload it on YouTube. Good googly moogly. I just gotta get to it and do it, I guess. I don't know.